Right, viewers, those are the headlines and our top story. Sources close to the negotiating committee in Hamas have now revealed that Hamas will not participate in post-war governance in Gaza as the ceasefire has come into effect. This has been highlighted that Hamas would not be a part of the transitional phase of the Gaza Strip. Now, this controversial governance goes back to 2005. Back then, Israel completed its unilateral disengagement from the Gaza Strip, removing all military personnel and settlers. Palestinian Authority, led by Fatah Party, was given administrative control of the territory. And in January 2006, Hamas had secured majority of seats in elections. And after the factional fight, Hamas has controlled the Strip since then. This is, of course, the latest that we are tracking on the broadcast. Joining us is Mr. Ross Feingold, political analyst from Taipei. Thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX World. Major development coming in. Sources have now come out and revealed that Hamas will not be participating in governing Gaza post-war. We have discussed this in depth. They have stated, they've not said anything as far as disarmament is concerned, but we're now seeing reports of the idea of stating that it will dismantle the tunnel infrastructure over there. What do you make of this fresh revelation that has come to light? How significant is it?
Hamas is simply stating the obvious here. Israel's position, with the support of the international community, is very clear. There was no role for Hamas in post-war governance of Gaza, regardless of what the post-war governance structure would be, whether that was a long-term Israeli military occupation, a technocratic Palestinian administration, or what now seems to be the case, this international entity with officials from both outside Gaza as well as Palestinians. So there was no possibility for Hamas to be part of the governance structure of Gaza going forward. And if they insisted that they did have to have a role, there'd be no ceasefire. So they're simply stating the obvious and acknowledging the reality. But as you mentioned, there is another important bottom line for Israel, again with the support of the international community, which is with regard to disarmament. If Hamas does not give up their weapons and their fighters do not surrender or leave Gaza, the war will not end. And that's a very important issue to Israel, obviously. And if Hamas is going to try and play games with that, they're going to be very disappointed, because very quickly there's just not going to be any international support for Hamas to continue the war if a ceasefire and this international governance entity begins its work, and prisoners are released from Israeli jails and hostages are released by Hamas. No one is going to be supporting Hamas to keep its weapons. So they need to be very careful here on that issue as well.
Indeed. In the meantime, we're also learning that Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is traveling to Egypt to attend the peace summit on Gaza. Erdogan has long been critical of Israeli operations in Gaza. However, Turkey has played a key role in securing Hamas's agreement for the plan to end the war in Gaza and to ensure the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip. There have been some points that have been contentious, but at the same time, what we're seeing with the first step has been a welcome move. In the meantime, as I mentioned earlier, there's a crucial meeting that is slated to take place tomorrow. More than 20 world leaders are going to be involved. What is your expectation from the summit in Egypt?
I think we need to be careful about having too many expectations. The reality is, no matter what the issue, it could be a civil war somewhere, a famine, natural disaster, there are often these international summits. There's often pledges of support and specifically financial support, and it doesn't come in. The money just never arrives. Countries don't live up to their commitments, or the ask is simply too much, and the amount that's asked for is just never raised. So it's certainly productive. It's a good thing that this summit is taking place, and I think credit should be given to the organizing countries, the host country, Egypt, and to the participants for willing to participate. But this is so early in the governance, or what will be the governance of Gaza going forward, and it's even earlier in what the reconstruction of Gaza will look like and who's going to pay for that, that I think we need to manage our expectations.
Indeed, sir. I request you to stay on with us as we are tracking some further updates. Now, as the first phase of the Gaza peace plan comes into effect, Israel is preparing for the exchange of prisoners with the hostages. The Israeli Prison Service has published a video of buses lining up on a road near of a prison in the West Bank in preparation for the release of Palestinian prisoners and detainees as part of the deal. Now, in the first phase of the plan, Israel is to withdraw troops from certain accepted areas in Gaza and exchange prisoners in Israel with the hostages held by Hamas. Meanwhile, a convoy of trucks carrying aid through Khan Yunis was also seen moving in Gaza. Now, as per the agreement, humanitarian aid would be ramped up into Gaza and would be permitted to travel freely in the north and south enclaves on the two main roads.